Hi, welcome to this tutorial about how to make a plant hanger. You're going to learn 3 knots and your plant hanger will look something like this green one. You need 22 meters of your handmade twine, and what you need to do to get started is you want to have 6 lengths. Okay, so these are mine that I've already pre-cut. You want to measure with your wingspan, okay, so that's from one tip of your fingers to the other end, your arms spread out. 1, 2 wingspans is 1 length, okay, so you want to go 1, 2 and cut. That is 1 length, and you want 6 like that, okay. So you might want to pause the video and get your pieces cut, and you want to be hanging them over a railing. I've got a freestanding clothes rack here, which I can take the end off and then slide my project off afterwards. So you want to hang them somewhere that you can slide them off afterwards, okay. A doorknob is a really good thing to use because you can just slide it off afterwards. If you don't have anything that is appropriate, then you could also just sellotape the top of your project to your desk or your door and just make sure that you don't kind of pull too tightly so that it comes off. Okay, the other thing you can do, another option, is that you can use an old curtain ring like I have on this one, if you've got one lying around, but I'm going to show you how to do it without one. Okay, so don't worry if you don't have a curtain ring to hand, but if you do, then you can upcycle that as well. Okay, so get your lengths ready. I'm just going to pull you closer so that you can see what to do. Okay, so you've cut your 6 lengths and you've got them hanging down somewhere. This point here where they're hanging should be the halfway point. So when your lengths are at the bottom, they should all be meeting at the bottom. It doesn't have to be exact because you're probably going to be cutting some ends off anyway. The other thing that you might want to think about doing is tying a knot at your ends, because what you'll find is that after so much handling of the twine, it might start to fray or come apart at the end, so you can just do a normal knot to stop that from happening. The first knot we're going to do is the gathering knot, and for that you need another length of twine. You should have some left over, and you want that length to be an arm's length, okay? And with this piece that I've just cut, you're going to make a loop, and your loop needs to be about the size of your palm. And your loop is going to have one longer bit that we're going to do the wrapping with, and then one bit, leave enough sticking out because we're going to pull on that at the end. You want to place your loop at the top of your project, and with the longer piece you're going to wrap it around all of your strands, including the loop. You want to do, I would recommend at least 4 wraps, but you can do more depending on how kind of long you want that knot to be. Okay, so when you've done your 4 wraps, or however many wraps you want, you're going to put the strand that you've been wrapping with through the loop. Okay, and then hold on to everything. And then remember this little bit that we left sticking out from the loop? You want to pull on that, and it is going to pull the loop underneath all of the wraps that you did. Okay, pull on the other end, and that is making the knot really strong. Just want to make sure that it is lying underneath the wraps. Okay, and that is now safe for you to cut off those extra bits. Okay, I know that feels really scary, but if you've tugged on it and really pulled it tight, then it is safe to cut them off. Okay. So obviously you can, because this is a video, you can rewind and watch that again if you need to. Now, what you want to do now is separate your strands into 3 groups of 4 strands. Okay, 3 groups of 4 strands. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to sort of put them out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And we're going to work with 1 group at a time. So you'll see on this green one that I've made, okay, we're now going to be working on one of these strips. Okay, so this is the half twist knot that we're going to learn now. So with your group of 4 that you've got here, you want to establish which yarns, which lengths are going to be your working pieces. Okay, so 1 on this side and 1 on your right hand side. Okay, I'm just going to move this one differently because I can see that it's in your way from seeing what I'm doing. Okay, so with my left yarn, I'm going to bring it across and make a loop, and with my right hand one I'm going to bring that in front. Okay, so the left one comes across in front of all the strands, but my right hand one I'm going to just bring so that it's sitting in front. Then with this right hand one I'm going to bring it behind and through this loop. Okay, so behind and pull it through. And then just pull on those outer strands again and bring it up to the top of your gathering knot. Okay, so we're going to repeat that. So left hand yarn, bring it over in front, the right hand one, just place it in front like that, behind and through the loop, pull, okay, and again, so across and in front, but this right hand one I'm just bringing in front, push it behind and through the loop. Okay, and we're going to keep going like that for quite a while. And you'll notice that your project starts to twist around, okay? And you want to move your body with it so that you're always doing your loop with the left hand one, okay? If you change, then the twist is going to change direction. All right, so you want to just always keep it on that left hand side, okay? So because I can't go around to the back of mine, so I'm just going to change again and remember which one was my left hand strand that I'm working with. Now, after you do this for a while, you will notice that these outer strands that you're using, they're doing all the work, okay? So they're going to get shorter a lot quicker than these middle ones that are doing nothing, okay? And we don't want to have a situation where you've run out of your twine at the bottom, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to swap them over. Okay, so I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so these are my outer working yarns. I'm just going to drop them and I'm going to choose the middle ones and bring them to the outside, okay, and sort of push the other ones into the middle. And when I do my half twist knot, as I have been doing, okay, I just need to encourage it a little bit more to sit as a knot, Okay, and you know, when you do that first one, you will see that that's where you've changed over, but when you keep going and your hanger is finished, you will not see that in the overall effect. You won't see where you've changed it, and it is important to do that because otherwise you will run out and you won't be able to finish your hanger. Okay, so I would recommend doing that you know, at least once for each of your arms that you're going to do. Okay, I'm just going to measure it so you know how much to do. Okay, so for this amount of twine that we've got, okay, you can make each of these arms 20 centimeters, that is, or 7.5 inches. Okay, so yeah, and at about 3.5 inches I made that switch. Okay, so about at least when you get to halfway at 3 inches, 3.5 inches, okay, you want to make that switch. Okay, so you just want to keep doing your half twist knot until you've done 7 inches or just over 7 inches of that. So I'm just going to stay on camera with you, so it's like we're doing it in real time together. So I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so I'm just going to measure that and see what length I'm up to. Okay, oh yeah, I've nearly done 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to stop there with that one and grab my next group of 4. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing, the same knot. Okay, so I'm just going to teach you again, but I'm sure by this point you know what to do. So I've got my 2 outer strands. The left one I'm going to bring across and in front of the other strands, and the right hand one I'm going to just bring in front. Push it to the back and then bring it through into the front through that loop that you made. And we repeat that, and by always making your loop on the left hand side, that is what makes it twist round. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend stopping halfway through because you could easily forget which side. Oh, bless me, sorry, it's embarrassing. I wouldn't recommend stopping halfway through one of these groups because it's very, very easy to forget which was your left hand side, and then your twist knot won't twist anymore, it will twist the other way. So give yourself a chunk of time to do that. I mean, what are we? We're going for 15 minutes. We did a gathering knot and we've done one arm. So you only need, 15-20 minutes to do one of them if you want to do it in sections, or do it all in one go if you've got a whole afternoon on to yourself. Okay, so I think I should now swap my strands over because these are getting a bit shorter. So I'm just going to drop them and get the other ones that were in the middle and bring them to the outside. So I've swapped over my working yarns. Okay, and I'm not going to worry if it looks a little bit funny because I know that the overall effect is going to hide that imperfection there. I have actually seen other macrame artists put like a bead there. If you've got really chunky beads, so you could, when you're switching over, you could put a bead there to hide that kind of bit that is a bit imperfect. If you are wanting things to look perfect, then you can put a bead there. Now, it's important to sort of keep measuring this one quite often, I would say, because you want them to be the same. So my other one was 8 inches. Okay, I'm just at 6.5, so let's keep going. And if you need to switch them over again, then you can. If you need to switch the yarns over again, I mean. I'm just looking at the bottom of mine and they're looking okay. They look about even at the moment. And don't worry if you're going at a different pace to me, you can always pause the video, especially if you're a beginner, then I wouldn't expect you to go at the same pace as me. Okay, that is now 8 inches, so I'm going to grab my final group of 4, and I'm going to actually turn my plant hanger around because it's at a bit of an awkward angle for me at the moment, so I'm just going to turn that round so I can now get to my group that's now sitting on the front. Okay, so my final group of 4. And half twist knots again, so that all the strands are the same. I hope this feels like we're in the same room and doing it together. I've deliberately left it playing real time so that it does, rather than stopping and starting and I've finished it. I thought it would be nice for you to feel like we're doing it together, so I hope it feels like that for you. Okay, so I'm at 8 inches. So I've done all of my 3 groups and they are looking beautiful. Now what I want to do is grab my pot that I'm going to be using. Okay, it is helpful to have that, to have a pot in mind so that you can make it bespokely for that pot. Okay. Now what we're going to do is you need to decide how low you want your pot down, so how much space your plant needs. I would say, you know, if you're kind of making a generic one, then just kind of, you know, a bit of space is fine. And then what you want to do is we're going to be grabbing 2 strands from one group and 2 strands from another group. So it's going to, you know, sort of like come together and create a bit of a basket area for the pot to sit in. So what you want to do is you kind of need a third hand for this, so it can be a bit tricky, but again, it doesn't need to be uber precise, okay, because there will be a bit of give in the material. So what you want to do is to kind of roughly measure where you're going to be doing a square knot. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of hold that. So let me just explain where you want it. You want it to sit, you want it to be kind of towards the top of your pot. Okay, we're going to do one knot there to begin with. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that with my fingers there. Okay, so get this group out of the way because we don't need that one. So now I've got that, so it's about a finger's length away from the bottom of my knot. Okay, so I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to grab 2 strands from this group and 2 strands from this group. Okay, get the other ones out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a half twist knot. Okay, and you want to just leave it where, you know, it was about a finger. Okay, so that's one half twist. We're going to do that knot again, but on the other side. Okay, and that will make it a square knot. So instead of coming from the left, I'm going to get my right hand one and make that loop. Left hand one in front, push it to the back and through this loop that you made. Okay, and gently bring that to meet the other half knot that you did. Okay, so those 2 half twists together make a square knot. Okay, now you can just do 1, but I like to do 2 because the twine is very chunky, so it's nice to keep it with the chunky vibe. So I'm going to do another square knot, so starting on the left. and then on the right. Okay, now we're going to do that another 2 times. So 2 strands from this group and 2 strands from another group. Do my half twist. It might be helpful actually to have the other one that you just did next to it so that you can make sure that they are sitting at the same level. Okay. Okay, so that's 1 square knot. And 2 square knots. Okay, so now these 4 strands that are left, that should be 2 from one group and 2 from another group. Okay, and again I'm just going to turn my plant hanger around so that I can get to it more easily. Okay, so square knot, making sure it's level with your other ones so that the pot sits straight in it. Okay, so you've just learnt a 3rd knot there, that is the square knot. And let's see how the pot is looking. Okay, so it's going to be sitting about there with the knot towards the rim. We're going to do another layer of knots like that for extra security. So you want to hold it where it's going to be and grab a strand from one group and a strand from another group. Okay, and this knot you want it to sit towards the bottom now. Okay, so I'm going to keep my fingers there so I can now measure, and again it's the same kind of length. Okay, so if you're making a generic one you can just go with a finger's length. Okay, and that's where I'm going to do another square knot. So I want 2 strands from one group and 2 strands from another group. Okay, I'm going to get the others out of the way. And again, I'm going to do the same as I did before. So I'm going to do 2 square knots to keep it sort of nice and symmetrical. Okay, so there's 1, 2 from one group, 2 from another group. Get those out of the way, but I'm going to keep my other one. So I would use this, rather than now measuring with your finger, I would just measure against this one. So do my 2 square knots. Okay, and final one. So again, I'm going to turn this around so that I can get to it more easily. Depending on what you're working on, you might just need to move your body. Okay, so I've got 4 strands left, 2 from one group, 2 from another group, 2 square knots. And after this, there is just one more knot to do to finish it off. Okay, so let's see how the pot is looking with all of those knots done. Okay, so obviously we need to do one more, which is gathering all of them together. Okay, and then you can see how the pot would sit. Okay, so my first knot is at the top there, like where the rim is. And the other one, I could have maybe done it a bit closer, but it's sitting just at the bottom there. Okay, so that's where you want yours to be. And so where I'm holding my hands, where my fist is, I can see that it's pretty close to the last square knot that I did. Okay, so again, you can measure, it's about half of my finger, where I'm going to do my final knot. And this final knot, you could now choose what you want to do. I like to do a gathering knot because then it matches the one at the top. But any of the ones that you've learnt, you could apply here. So depends what you want to go for. I'll show you the gathering knot again, because that's what I'm going to do. And then you can kind of, you know, we only did that one once, didn't we? So you might want to see it again anyway. So I've cut a new length. So this is also, yeah, if you've run out of your twine as well, then don't panic, because you can do a square knot or a half twist knot to finish your plant hanger off. But I'm going to show you the gathering knot. So you want to cut another length that is an arm's length. You're going to make your loop. I'll just come down a bit so you can see. We're going to make a loop that's about the size of my palm. We've got a longer strand, which we're going to do our wrapping with, and then one left here that we're going to do our pulling with at the end. So I'm going to place the top of that loop where I want my gathering knot to start. Okay, so for me it's just under those last square knots. I'm going to wrap it around nice and tightly, at least 4 times. If you want it to be longer, then you'll need a longer length of yarn. When I get back to the front, I can put that through the loop. Oops, through the loop. Hold on to it with my fingers and then pull on this bit that was sticking out. I'm pulling on that, and you'll see that the loop is getting pulled underneath the wraps that you did. Okay, and you can pull on both ends to make sure it's tight, and then cut that off. And if you wanted to, you could leave that one dangling there to kind of go in with the rest of the tail. So if I put my pot in, we now want to judge how much of a tail we want. Okay, doesn't it look great? Doesn't it look amazing? I think this is amazing. All made from your fabric scraps, which is just amazing. Now your tail, we have got quite a lot left. So you could leave a nice long tail if you want to leave that, or you could cut them all the same length. You could stagger them like this one. I've staggered the lengths so that it looks a bit more natural and not as kind of a chunky cut. But whatever you do, I would recommend, if you didn't already, doing those knots at the end so that it doesn't continue to fray. You could also add beads if you wanted to. You could add chunky beads at the end and then add a knot. So yeah, I like to leave mine for a bit and kind of look at it for a while and decide how much of a tail I want. So I'm going to leave mine for a bit and just kind of look at it and decide. I'll probably cut mine to about there. I like to stagger them so that it's not such a chunky cut. So that is the last thing for you to decide. I hope you've really enjoyed the workshop. Please leave a comment, send me a photo. I would love to see your hangers with their beautiful plants in. And